Captain Marcus Kane was deep in thought on the bridge of the massive warship Vindicta. They were on the brink of a galactic war, and its outcome would be determined under his leadership. Once regarded as a legend, Marcus now held the fate of humanity in his hands. His eyes were fixed on the cold, infinite void of the stars outside. But what he felt inside was far from empty. It was the weight of great responsibility, pressure, and the inevitability of conflict. Elijah Griffin, one of Marcus's most trusted officers, quietly approached him. "Captain, we've received new intelligence regarding the enemy's movements. It seems they're much more organized and powerful this time," he said, his voice tinged with a faint hint of concern. Marcus nodded, his eyes still locked on the void outside. "They may be organized, but we are determined. We know what they're capable of. Now, we need to show them that they cannot win this war," he said. Elijah watched in admiration as Marcus remained so calm. "The crew is ready, but everyone is a bit on edge. After all, we're facing the strongest enemy we've ever encountered," he said, gesturing toward the other officers on the bridge with his eyes. Marcus scanned his crew with his gaze. Each of them understood the importance of this war, but they were also lost in uncertainty. "We need to remind them, Elijah. This is not just a battle. This is a fight for humanity's survival. We must win this fight," he said. Marcus activated the ship's communication system and addressed the entire crew. "As you all know, we are about to face a tough battle. The enemy may be strong, but we are human. Our will and determination are far stronger than their cold machines. We will win this war because we cannot afford to lose. I have faith in all of you," he said. Marcus's words echoed throughout the ship, lifting everyone's spirits. This moment reminded them of their trust in each other. Turning to Elijah, Marcus said, "Now, let's head to the training grounds. Everyone needs to be at their best." At the training grounds, the crew underwent intense drills under Marcus's watchful eye. This wasn't just a test of physical endurance. It was also a mental preparation. Every soldier had to be ready for this war, both physically and mentally. Marcus observed each one carefully, trying to understand their fears and hopes. He saw the same thing in their eyes, a mixture of fear and a burning desire to win this war. During training, an alarm sounded. Everyone froze for a moment, but Marcus immediately sprang into action. "The enemy is approaching. Take your positions," he ordered. The crew quickly returned to the ship, each focused on their duties. The atmosphere inside the ship grew heavier. Marcus returned to the bridge and glanced at the monitors. Enemy ships were closing in fast. This might be their first major confrontation. Elijah approached Marcus. "Captain, the enemy ships are heading toward the colonies. We need to strike, or our defenses will be breached," he said. Marcus paused for a moment, then decisively commanded, "Prepare all weapons. We'll focus on their flanks. We'll hit their weak points. We will win this fight." The ship's weapon systems went into preparation, and the entire crew assumed battle positions. As Marcus watched the enemy's movements, he also put his own plan into action. This was not just an attack, but a strategy to disrupt the enemy's plans. As the enemy ships closed in on Vindicta, a palpable tension gripped the ship's interior. Everyone was awaiting Marcus's command, and then the moment came. Marcus, with all his strength, said, "Fire!" The ship's weapons unleashed a torrent of death toward the enemy ships. The enemy vessels, caught off guard by this assault, staggered, but they quickly retaliated. Vindicta took a powerful hit, but under Marcus's leadership, the crew held their ground. Marcus held his breath for a moment. "Elijah, what's our status?" he asked. Elijah quickly scanned the screens. "We've weakened their flank, but their flagship is still very strong. We need more firepower, he said. Marcus felt a surge of energy within the ship. This was not just a physical battle. It was a test of their will and resolve. Elijah, focus all our power on a single point. We must destroy their flagship. Now, we either win or lose everything, he said. With a final command, Vindictor's weapons all targeted the enemy's flagship. As the attack commenced, a spark of determination lit up in Marcus's eyes. The enemy's flagship shuddered under the explosions and, finally, erupted in a massive blast. Silence fell over the ship. Marcus leaned back, taking a deep breath. But this was only one battle. A greater war still awaited them. Elijah turned to Marcus. "Captain, we did it. But there's more to come," he said. Marcus, his eyes gleaming with the anticipation of the next battle, replied, "Yes, but we're here to win this war. I'm proud of all of you. Greater challenges lie ahead, but this is just the beginning." The atmosphere inside the Vindictor had changed after the first major battle. The enemy's flagship had been destroyed, yet the taste of victory was mixed with a subtle bitterness. Marcus Kane stood quietly on the bridge, observing his crew. Weariness and concern were etched on everyone's faces. But Marcus felt that a greater danger was looming. Elijah approached Marcus and reported, "Captain, the enemy's remaining forces are regrouping. It seems this attack was only a vanguard. Their main fleet hasn't arrived yet," he said, a clear note of worry in his voice. Marcus took a deep breath. This is their game. The first attack was meant to weaken us. The real assault hasn't begun, he replied, his eyes drifting to the screens displaying the incoming enemy fleets. "But, Captain, there's something else," Elijah said with slight hesitation. "Something's not right with our ship. Someone might be trying to sabotage us from the inside." Marcus turned his eyes toward Elijah. "What do you mean, Elijah?" "Sabotage?" he asked, his voice hardening. Elijah showed Marcus the data he had gathered. "We've noticed strange interruptions in our weapon systems and communication channels. Someone from within could be trying to weaken us," he said. Marcus took a moment to process this new information. "A traitor," he thought. "This means the enemy is far more cunning than we imagined." At that moment, an explosion rocked the bridge. The entire ship trembled, the lights flickered out for a moment, and the alarm system activated. Everyone scrambled to take their positions amidst the chaos. Marcus knew he had to act fast to find whoever was sabotaging the ship. "Elijah, secure the bridge. I'll find the saboteur." "Trust no one," Marcus ordered sternly. Elijah immediately moved to secure the bridge. As Marcus made his way through the dark corridors of the ship, he kept searching for any clues that might lead him to the traitor. The ship shook again and again. The enemy continued pressing from the outside. But Marcus knew he had to stop the saboteur, or the lives of his entire crew would be in jeopardy. As he advanced through the corridors, Marcus's mind raced with questions about who the traitor could be. Was it one of his own crew, or was it an enemy agent? He quickened his pace, carefully checking every corner. For a brief moment, he saw a shadow in the darkness. The shadow swiftly disappeared into another corridor. Marcus followed silently, knowing it could be a trap, but with no other choice. He had to catch this person and find out who the traitor was. Finally, Marcus reached the engine room. There, he saw someone tampering with the ship's critical systems. In the darkness, their face was obscured, but their actions told Marcus that this person was no friend. Raising his weapon, Marcus shouted, "Stop! Hands in the air and surrender!" A laugh echoed through the dark. "Oh, Captain Kane, how predictable you are," the saboteur said, catching Marcus off guard. Marcus recognized the voice. It was Isaac, one of his trusted crew members. "Isaac, was it you? Were you the one who betrayed us?" Marcus said, his voice filled with both anger and disbelief. Isaac stepped out of the shadows, his face now visible. "Yes, Captain. But I'm not doing this just for my own benefit. The enemy promises humanity a better future. What you and the others don't understand is that this war is already lost. I'm just choosing the winning side," Isaac said. Marcus couldn't believe Isaac's betrayal. "You've fallen so far that you'd sell out your crew, your friends? Was this truly your decision?" Marcus asked, gripping his weapon more tightly. Isaac smirked. "This is my opportunity, and you have to admit, the enemy is far stronger. Resisting them is pure folly," Isaac said, a hint of mockery in his voice. Marcus took a deep breath. A surge of anger welled up within him, but he couldn't afford to lose control. "I'll give you one last chance, Isaac. Stop sabotaging the ship and surrender." "I can forgive this betrayal," Marcus said. Isaac shook his head defiantly. "Forgive? You really are the hero, aren't you?" "But I'm no hero, Marcus. I just want to survive. And you know as well as I do that there won't be a winner in this war. I've chosen my path," Isaac said. At that moment, Isaac pressed a button, triggering a massive explosion on the ship. Marcus was thrown to the ground by the blast, but kept his weapon trained on Isaac. "This is your last chance, Isaac," Marcus said, controlling his fury. Isaac held up a small device. "This controls the ship's entire system. Even if you kill me, I can destroy the ship. But if you let me go, maybe you can still save your crew," Isaac said. Marcus hesitated for a moment. This was a huge risk, but to save the ship and the crew, he had no choice but to let Isaac go. "All right, Isaac. You win. But can you live with this decision?" Marcus asked. Isaac paused for a moment, then tossed the device to the ground and looked at Marcus. "Maybe this is the best way for all of us," Isaac said before disappearing into the darkness. Marcus took a deep breath and picked up the device. He quickly began working to regain control of the ship. At the same time, he watched as Isaac vanished. The betrayal stung deeply, but Marcus knew the priority was now saving the ship and his crew. When Marcus returned to the bridge, Elijah was there to greet him. "Captain, is everything all right?" he asked, concern etched across his face. Marcus handed the device to Elijah. "The traitor was Isaac, but we've regained control, thanks to this device. We managed to save the ship and the crew," Marcus said. Elijah looked at Marcus with admiration for his leadership and composure. "Captain, it's because of you that we're still alive." "But this is only the beginning," Elijah said. Marcus took a deep breath and walked to the center of the bridge. "Yes, Elijah, this is only the beginning. But we're here to win this war. I'm proud of all of you. Greater challenges await us, but we will never give up," he said. The ship prepared for its next move, readying itself to face the enemy's true forces. But Marcus would never forget Isaac's betrayal or how cunning the enemy truly was. This was both a lesson and a warning for him. Vindicta was preparing for the final assault. The enemy fleet was advancing with a massive force, and this battle would determine the future of humanity. Marcus Kane stood on the bridge, giving his crew the last instructions. Every corner of the ship was filled with the tension of the approaching battle. "Elijah, bring all weapon systems to full capacity. Engineering, maximize the shields. Everyone to your stations," Marcus commanded, his voice strong and resolute. This was the moment the entire crew had been waiting for. There was no room for retreat or hesitation now. Elijah quickly checked the screens on the bridge and turned to Marcus. "Captain, the enemy fleet is approaching fast. They're coming with much greater strength this time. But we're ready," he said. Marcus scanned his crew with his eyes as he turned back to the bridge. Determination and courage were etched on everyone's faces. "This battle will define us. The enemy may be stronger, but we fight for a cause. I trust in your bravery and loyalty. We will win this fight," he said. As Marcus's words echoed throughout the ship, everyone made their final preparations. Silent prayers and farewells were being exchanged among the crew. Everyone knew that this battle could be their last. When the enemy fleet drew closer, Vindicta's radars turned red. Gigantic warships and deadly fighters began appearing on the screens. Elijah quickly reported to Marcus. "Captain, the enemy forces are within range. Awaiting your order to fire," he said. Marcus took a deep breath for a moment. This would either be victory or annihilation. "Fire at will," he shouted, his voice resonating on the bridge. Vindicta's entire arsenal erupted simultaneously. Massive lasers and missiles sped toward the enemy ships. The battle had begun. The silence of space was shattered by explosions. The enemy ships responded with tremendous force. Vindicta was both attacking and defending, but the enemy countered every move, cornering the ship. Inside the ship, engineers and soldiers were working with relentless effort. They fought off the enemy attacks without a moment's hesitation. But the enemy kept closing in, pushing Vindicta into a precarious situation. Elijah turned to Marcus. "Captain, our shields are failing. If this keeps up, we might not hold out much longer," he said, his voice trembling slightly with concern. Marcus, never taking his eyes off the enemy ships, said, "No, Elijah, we won't stop here. We must do more. Redirect all power to engineering and weapon systems. We need to finish them," he ordered. Elijah obeyed Marcus's command. Vindicta's power surged through the ship. But this was a massive risk. If they made a mistake, the entire ship could be destroyed. At that moment, one of the enemy ships drew close to Vindicta, and a collision became inevitable. Marcus knew he had to turn this situation to his advantage. "Let them in. Allow them to board, and then we'll attack from within," he said decisively. The enemy ship crashed into Vindicta, breaching its hull. Enemy soldiers poured into the ship, and a fierce battle broke out. Vindicta's crew fought with all their might inside as well. Marcus moved through the ship, personally engaging the enemy soldiers. Elijah remained on the bridge, coordinating the external attacks while also monitoring the internal conflict. "Captain, the situation inside is critical, but we still have enemy ships outside," he said, his voice growing tenser. Marcus, pausing for a moment, replied, "Elijah, leave the inside to me. You deal with the enemies outside." "We will not lose this ship," he said as he continued fighting the enemy soldiers. Marcus pushed forward until he reached the engine room. There, a brutal confrontation with the enemy soldiers unfolded. Gunfire and explosions echoed throughout the ship. But Marcus refused to retreat. As a leader, he had to do everything to protect his crew. The enemy soldiers were taken aback by Marcus's resolve. His leadership and courage inspired his crew. Everyone fought with their lives on the line against the invaders. Finally, Marcus managed to drive the enemy soldiers out of the engine room. But this victory had come at a high cost. Many crew members were wounded or had lost their lives. Yet the ship still stood. Elijah called out to Marcus from the bridge. "Captain, we've neutralized the last enemy ship outside, but our ship has taken heavy damage. "We might not hold out for much longer," he said, exhaustion etched on his face. Marcus, taking a final deep breath, said, "Elijah, we're pulling back. We've won this battle, but we've paid the price. Now, we need to save the survivors," he ordered, thinking of the crew still fighting within the ship, as he gave the retreat command. Vindicta, with its remaining strength, began to retreat. The enemy fleet was completely destroyed, but the cost of victory was high. The silence inside the ship mourned the fallen. Marcus stood on the bridge, staring at the screens. As his ship moved deeper into space, returning with victory, Marcus Kane and his crew had learned a great lesson. The enemy had been defeated, but surviving this battle meant sticking together. Elijah approached Marcus. "Captain, we did it. But this victory was anything but easy," he said, his eyes brimming with emotion. Marcus placed his hand on Elijah's shoulder. "Yes, Elijah, we won. But the true worth of this victory is measured by what we've lost. We will honor their memory, and we will ensure this is humanity's last war," he said. Everyone aboard the ship listened silently to Marcus's words. As Vindicta slowly returned to base, Marcus Kane and his crew savored the victory. The future of humanity was in their hands, and they would never give up this fight. I hope you had a good time. If you liked my story, do not forget to comment and subscribe to my channel. Goodbye. See you in the next story.